As informações nos livros Jogo Sujo e Um Jogo Cada Vez Mais Sujo sobre a corrupção na FIFA, a Federação Internacional do Futebol, levaram a uma investigação internacional que chegou a prender 7 dirigentes da entidade. Eu vou conversar agora com o autor dos livros, o jornalista britânico Andrew Jennings, sobre a corrupção no futebol. Welcome, Mr. Jennings.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Gostaria de saber as investigações do senhor sobre a corrupção na FIFA. O senhor pode traçar algum paralelo? Tem algum envolvimento? A Confederação Brasileira de Futebol, a CBF, também está envolvida? In your investigations about corruption in FIFA, did you discover anything about the Brazilian Federation, CBF?
Masses. How Teixeira survived for so long is a question the Senate Commission must be asking itself, because Teixeira is just a thief, day and night. He woke up stealing and he went to bed stealing. And how he survived for so many years at the CBF, well, you begin to realize why, because he was not alone. In my opinion, the CBF is rotten and should be closed down. You need a new organization for your national game.
E o senhor tem documentos que comprovam essas descobertas? Do you have any documents to prove what?
Well, I had the benefit, to start with, of the absolutely brilliant Commission of Inquiry in 2001, led by Senator Diaz, the Nike inquiry, which was a brilliant investigation. It was all there. Everybody you named should have gone to jail. Well, no, Teixeira survived, unbelievably, and of course went on stealing until I caught him finally with bribes he was receiving in Europe from a Swiss marketing company to give the World Cup television and marketing rights to this particular company. He and Havelange took a lot of money, and I got a list of the bribes, and that was the end of Ricardo Teixeira, just about. Mm-hmm. But the fact that he survived for so long is a question this commission is going to have to be asking itself.
O senhor, inclusive, declarou que acredita que as descobertas, né, dessa CPI do futebol de 2001 não tiveram o segmento que deveriam ter tido. Né? Assim, you said that the discoveries from the other investigation from 2001, Senator Álvaro Diaz, weren't really followed through. Do you think that, why not? Why do you think they did?
I don't know. That's a question Brazilians should be asking themselves, because it was a brilliant inquiry. I learned a lot from it. And once you'd read it, I think 600 pages, all translated for me, just realised, wow, what a dreadful state Brazilian football was in. And you know, what I read of his 2001 report, now looking back, you can see the slippery slope all the way to Germany 7, Brazil 1. And I think that the corruption of CBF, no interest in football. Football's really boring. The money's great. So they spent their time finding ways to extort money, because the Brazilian team would always win, wouldn't they? And then somehow the air went out of that balloon. And I think it's good. Very disappointing for Brazilian people last year. But it sends the message up, you've got to take control of your own national team, because these sleazebags and scumbags took the money and didn't care about the game. And you come up against a great team like Germany and you're not prepared, there's not the morale, you know that while you're playing football, they're stealing money in the box behind you. Well, it's not surprising that Brazil lost badly, but maybe that will be the trigger for reform, for going down to Rio and pushing the CBF into the sea, sell the building, get rid of them, a whole new organisation with a new constitution, which I think the fans should be involved in, because the people have been completely excluded from Brazilian football. Just this little tight group round Teixeira, stealing money all the time, not enough political interference. I think too many congressmen, senators were on the payroll for Teixeira. And if this commission can't name and shame those people, you're never going to win a World Cup again.
E o senhor acha que os resultados dos jogos, né, o senhor falou na Copa do Mundo, também são manipulados? Would you say that the results of the games are also manipulated, the World Cup games?
I don't think that the results are rigged, that there's match fixing. It has happened at the World Cup, but as far as I know, not since 2002 in Korea, when results were manipulated for Korea to beat Spain and Italy, two great teams. And good luck to the South Koreans, but they ain't as good as those two teams. That was fixed. But since then, I don't think the results are fixed. But, you know, I did write a piece for a Brazilian magazine some months before the World Cup, writing about the death of the journalist Vlado Herzog and the fact that Mr. Jean-Marie Marin, Jose Maria Marin, now in Switzerland and not coming home for a long time, was a big role in triggering that horrible torture and death. Now, if you were playing for Brazil, you're playing in the team, you want to win, of course you do. And then you think, if we win, I'm going to have to go up the steps and this loathsome, vile man who helped trigger the murder of a brilliant Brazilian journalist and was the best friend of the military dictatorship. I don't want to shake his hand. I don't want to. So I can see you in front of the goal and you go, oh, because you've lost the morale to represent your country and you know that these sleazy people are going to say, oh, well done, and God, look at the money I'm getting. Well done, young man, well done, you know, here's the cup, oh, we'll take it back now. I think those sleazy people have done the morale of football no good in this country. I hear that attendances are down, people aren't. In Brazil, of all countries, some of the fans have lost interest. They're not as passionate as they were. Well, thank you, Teixeira. Thank you, Del Nero. Thank you, Marin. Now those people are out of it. I think Teixeira should be looking at the same jail sentence as Marin will probably get. Then maybe you can lift yourselves up. You've got plenty of talent in this country. You've got masses of honest, capable people. They've got to come in as these horrible people are pushed out. Mm-hmm. And then you might win the World Cup again.
E como é feita essa seleção do país que vai sediar a Copa do Mundo, né? O senhor disse que até aqui no depoimento da CPI, que tem que pagar para jogar, pagar para poder sediar. É isso mesmo? How is the selection made how is the country who's going to host the World Cup made? You said today at the hearing that you have to pay to play. How does that work?
Well, it's the old expression, pay to play. You don't pay, you don't play. And this has been traditional at FIFA's executive committee, that group of, well, it was 24 men, but by the time they voted in 2010, 2 of them had to go quickly. It is documented evidence that people like Teixeira, Jack Warner from Trinidad, Nicolas Leos from the south of us from Paraguay, and 1 or 2 more would go round. You want to have the World Cup? And where we got some very good evidence on this was England was bidding for 2018. Now, England's not perfect. You can find things wrong with it. I can find plenty wrong with the football administrators. But they don't pay bribes. They're honest, only stupid. So when these lowlifes from FIFA turned up, hello, really nice to meet you. Oh, look, I've got an empty suitcase here. Do you see? Needs filling. They didn't pay.
E o senhor acha que a sua reportagem no programa Panorama, que foi ao ar 3 dias antes da escolha do país, também, denunciando essa corrupção na FIFA, será que isso também contou contra a escolha da Inglaterra para 2018? Do you think your story in Panorama by BBC, which aired about 3 days before the country was selected. Do you think that counted against England's bid as well?
Well, the right-wing press that hates the BBC said that. What they could never take in is pay to play. If you don't pay, you don't get the World Cup. And so this was a silly argument by right-wing newspapers. Oh, well, we would have got it. We wouldn't. We don't pay. And what was good for me is I got this nonsense in some of the right-wing newspapers. And 6 months later, I was the keynote speaker at the English Football Fans' Parliament. The fans realised eventually that England, which has got great facilities, we've got the stadiums, we've got the hotels, we've got the airports, we've got everything, and the passion, are never going to get it while these people control FIFA, because whatever's good or bad about England, we don't pay these sleaze bags. So one of the points of our film was to show everybody knew this. Everybody knew they were corrupt. I got new documents, new evidence of bribes going into FIFA. But it wasn't a new idea, it was just I got new material. So, no, we would never have won it. We never will until FIFA is abolished. I'm all for moving FIFA out of Switzerland. And I think the perfect place is Holland. The beer's very good for a start, the fans like that. And on the kind of political front, they should go to The Hague, and they could have a new FIFA headquarters next to the International Criminal Court, where all these horrible dictators and murdering thugs from around the world hopefully go on trial, human rights trials. So any problems at FIFA, march them across the road and put them on trial. And whilst I'm half joking, it makes the point that we just have to, I think FIFA has to be abolished. This talk of Sepp Blatter says we're going to have elections. He wouldn't know what an election is. Oh, you mean buying votes? Oh, yeah, I know about that. So I think countries like Brazil, who are trying to reform, countries like most of Western Europe is pretty clean because we've got good scrutiny. I'm not saying we're better people. We've got more policemen, more observers watching. It's quite difficult to steal from football in England. I'm sure some would try, but we've just got more supervision. And I think countries like that, and America's stupid but clean, and England's stupid but clean, should be getting together to say, you can stick your Zurich headquarters where the sun don't shine. We're finished with it.
Agora, quando na época que o Brasil foi selecionado para sediar a Copa, ele era o único candidato. Será que ainda assim houve suborno? When Brazil was selected, when Brazil bid to host the World Cup, it was the only candidate. Do you think even so, were there bribes? Did you have to pay?
No, not in the way that other countries have had to pay bribes. This was Teixeira saying, I want a World Cup to steal from. And he's one of that little tight leadership group. He had to be given his Christmas present. And you got the FIFA law. And you got looted. I used the image today of the cow being milked. And Teixeira helped FIFA milk your country and go away with billions of whatever currency you want to think of. Bye-bye. You pay for the stadia. Sorry about the hospitals and schools. You'll get the money one day. We've gone. And so Teixeira really was the advance man for the FIFA crooks, and one of them as well, making sure that they got their milk out of Brazil. So they made sure that no other Latin American country could bid, and then he milked it. And his friend Jerome Valcke, who'd just been fired from FIFA and is now back, of course, as General said, he came out here. It took about two crooks together, planning. You know, it makes you weep when you think that Brazil allowed itself to be fooled by Teixeira and by this very, very dubious Jerome Valcke from FIFA coming out and saying, oh, you've got to spend more money on this. Oh, you must spend more money on that. And I think this commission has got to investigate not just CBF, not just the bribes going through CONMEBOL, not just the Brazilians who may have had their hand in the Christmas presents, but also how on earth were these contracts signed? who allowed so many stadiums to be built? No, did anybody in Manaus say we must have a big stadium in the Amazon basin? We must have it, we need it. Nobody said that, did they?
E aqui em Brasília, o senhor já conheceu, já viu o estádio mais caro da Copa, né? Have you seen the most expensive stadium in the World Cup here in Brasília?
We hope to film there before we go. You know, I know, the world knows. How could it happen? Where were the politicians? Where were the people in authority say, we're not doing this. This is obscene. Build this great big stadium when you don't need it. You can't fill it afterwards. It's an abuse of the Brazilian population. And I think Teixeira should go to jail for that. But also, who approved it? Who agreed with it? Who said, oh, yes, Ricardo, yeah, we want to spend the taxpayers' money. We'll just tell them afterwards. Where was the supervision? There couldn't have been any. I mean, did Lula let this go through? Why? He was the president then when it came together. Where were the presidential party saying, no, we don't need it. We've got enough stadia in our country. Maybe some of them need a bit of work on them. Maybe a new stadium somewhere, but probably not. They took you for fools. Teixeira took his own people for fools, and Valka came out. And do you remember, you need a kick up the behind because you're not working hard enough. That was just to screw more money out. And, you know, Valka should have been thrown in the sea. Right? You don't like it here? Whoop!
O senhor, inclusive, denunciou na reportagem os segredos sujos da FIFA, né? Assim, as exigências que a FIFA faz, inclusive de mudança de legislação, né? O que foi que o senhor descobriu? Inclusive, o senhor só conseguiu descobrir na Holanda, que na própria Inglaterra isso também não foi divulgado, né? In your story, FIFA's Dirty Secrets, you also showed that FIFA asks countries to even change their legislation, among other things. And you discovered this in Holland, because even in England...
Well, yes, this is quite right. That I never said England was perfect. Mm-hmm. They wanted the World Cup. FIFA said, here are the 8 government guarantees you have to give on taxation, various matters, and they must be confidential. And I, at the BBC, we requested them. Freedom of information? No. Oh, please, because it's only kicking a ball around. I know our hearts beat faster when that ball is kicked around, but it's not national security. It's not how many spies you have somewhere. It's not where Brazil's overseas forces might be. It's just kicking a ball about. Now, in Holland, which was also bidding, they took a much more sensible approach. They made them public. Members of their parliament from right and left, there was no ideology here, said, we can't have this, we want to see these. They put them online. We went over to Holland to interview people, and they didn't get it.
E quais eram essas mudanças? What were the changes they were asking for?
They wanted, well, one professor I interviewed in Amsterdam said they wanted their own tax haven in your country. We all think offshore, Cayman Islands, various offshore tax havens. They will make one in your country, and I think they did here, where sponsors, everybody associated with the horrible FIFA didn't pay tax here. You had to pay tax. Everybody watching this has to pay tax, not FIFA. And again, this was an outrageous concession. I think tax, also labour laws. I mean, we spend many decades in all our countries building up worker protection, better laws on hours worked, safety at work. These are all important social issues. Now, FIFA wanted them.
E a gente pode pressupor, então, que essas mesmas exigências foram feitas aqui no Brasil, né? Would it be safe to assume that these same requirements were asked of Brazil?
Oh, yes, that's how you got your FIFA law. And one of the pleasures of being with Mario, who I've known for a few years now, was he said no. Why didn't more people say no? Brazil's not good enough for the World Cup? Well, go away. We don't want it on those terms. But again, this was Teixeira and his friends at FIFA milking your country. I think, what's the most horrible prison in Brazil? There must be one that's really notorious. What would it be?
Well, the closest one here is Papuda.
That'll do. Save a room for Mr. Teixeira and Mr. Marin and a few more.
Mr. Jennings, thank you very much for talking with us. Muito obrigada pela sua participação. Eu conversei com o jornalista britânico Andrew Jennings sobre a corrupção no futebol. Se você quiser fazer alguma sugestão ou crítica, ligue para o Alô Senado no número 0800 61 2211. Se você quiser rever ou baixar esse programa ou outros da TV Senado, acesse nosso site www.senado.leg.br/TV. Obrigada pela audiência e até a próxima.